What do you see? Take a long, close look and tell me, what do you see? In this day and age, our society has become so focused on image and stereotype through social media, television advertisements, and role models, that we become experts at making very quick decisions, quick judgments, based on the first things we see, a person's external characteristics. We have created set images for how to look like a celebrity, how to look like an academic, how to look like a prime minister, how to look like a doctor. In my case, then, you see the white cane. If you look closely enough, you may also see the hearing aids. Within a minute of me standing here in front of you, you establish I'm deafblind. Your overall judgment of me has possibly already been made up. As I was losing my night vision as a child, my dad used to describe to me the beautiful personalities of the stars that littered the night sky. From a distance, these stars were so tiny that they all looked the same. But up close, these stars were unique, different. Some were balls of fire, others lumps of ice. Some were destructive, others fragile. Yet they were all beautiful. But in our healthcare space then, take the workplace for example, everything is so much closer. Yet why then are our social values and judgments and equal perceptions of each other still so distant? John Green once said, "There is no shortage of fault in our stars. And with every flawed story that's written in these stars, we use them to live every day, every moment." I could tell you about the falling stars, where there were moments that I just lost all grip. I could tell you about the times of workplace bullying and inequality that left me burning so much with rage and frustration that it hurt. I could tell you about dying stars, where 15 admissions to intensive care and hanging off the edge of sepsis left me very potentially stuck in this darkness forever. But I'm not destined for any of these, and I never was. Instead, I'm going to tell you about the moment that this string of bad experiences shone one single light, so bright that I can now see things like I have never seen them before. I can't see the night sky. I'm deafblind. I will never be a stargazer. But I am a fourth-year medical student, training to be a doctor. Medical school is this huge galaxy of high achievers where all its students are forever reaching for the furthest and highest stars before they then drift off into this universe that is our healthcare system. But whilst most other students were getting brighter, I lost my shine in the first few years of medical school. Being deafblind meant that I shone differently to everyone else. I was told that I don't look like a medical student because I have a white cane and hearing aids. I was destined to never be part of their constellation. On my first day of placement, a senior doctor came up to me and said, "Imagine you're a patient. Would you want a disabled doctor treating you?" Absolutely not. I was then sent home. Shortly after, another doctor came up to me and said, "What are you doing with the patient's cane?" I had to explain that the cane was in fact my cane. I'm registered blind. But this doctor looked at me in disgust and said, "I don't want you touching any of the patients." And on the ward round, when I'd asked the doctor to speak louder so that I could hear, they brushed past, and as they walked away, they muttered to a colleague and said, "How do you expect an invalid like her to run the NHS. Invalid. Up until the age of 16, I was training on the GB swimming team towards the London 2012 Paralympics, before multiple stomach surgeries left me bedridden in hospital for a year and a half. I now didn't know what my future looked like. This doctor's words, and the words of so many others I had encountered in my lifetime, had knocked me back. My confidence was now this dying light. But somewhere, something was still very much burning inside. My experiences as a young patient, on top of being told time and time again that I shouldn't apply to medical school because I'm deafblind, because I'm a patient, because I've been on intensive care, because people with disabilities just don't, left me stuck. I didn't know what to do. This burning, it sparked things that I now knew that I could take a journey on. So, because I was burning for answers, I went out to find them. And so that's what I did. So in the summer of 2017, I traveled out to the USA solo in search of blinded doctors to see if what I was striving to pursue was really possible. And if it was, what were they doing differently out there in that world? How were they running an orbit in a way that we weren't? I met 5 blind doctors and 1 deaf doctor, and they were all thriving in the workplace. They were like any other doctor out there. They were highly respected by both their patients and their colleagues, and they were shining bright. How? Because they were being respected, supported, accommodated, and being given a place where they belonged in their constellation. Not only did these doctors teach me that actually what I was striving to achieve really was possible, but they also taught me this. To the doctor who mistook my aid of ability as an inability, I may have less eyesight than you, but I have far more insight. To the doctor who called me an invalid under his breath, ignorance is a far greater form of deafness than any hearing disability. And to the doctor who said that they would never want to be treated by a disabled doctor, we're all human. Eventually, my dad had to stop describing to me the scars far above, and instead, I had to start interpreting the world around me for myself, both the good and the bad kind. So one Christmas, he bought me my first ever camera. Little did I know that a few years later, when I walked into the camera store in Cardiff to buy a second-hand lens for it, that this would be the start of a revolution. This new camera lens would become my telescope, in which, when looking down this lens, everyone I saw from then on came into focus. I had created this big bang, the start of culture change, the birth of faces of the NHS. The biggest of all stars had been born. Faces of the NHS is a nationwide campaign of mine where I am travelling around the UK taking portraiture photographs of NHS staff and collecting their stories beyond the workplace. In time, these faces and stories will be displayed into one huge montage and a book which strives to represent the beautiful diversity of our NHS and to show that our differences should be celebrated, not stereotyped. I truly hope that it can break down these outdated stigmas we have currently somewhat attached to how to look like a doctor, how to look like a nurse, how to look like a porter. Because truth is, we are all the same, yet different. All different, yet the same. The poet Nikita Gill says that we are all just stars that have people names. And I do believe that we are all here for the same reason, holding on to our own piece of story, stardust, wonder, all shining bright. And so we deserve to be seen. Since only January 2019, I have met and photographed over 500 faces of the NHS, stretching all the way from London to Cardiff, to Manchester, to Edinburgh, to Belfast, all from a huge variety of countries, socio-economic backgrounds, ethnicities, job roles. Those who are both cared for and being cared for by the NHS. The responses have been overwhelmingly wonderful, empowering, and provided the simple proof that people do want to see greater diversity. People cherish our differences, and people want to be part of this beautiful celebration. And so I can only hope that this continues growing in its brilliance and its brightness. Some stories from the campaign so far then. Although I work in an office environment, this job taught me how important everyone is in the NHS to achieve excellent patient care. I love the NHS for its core principles of treating all people equally, no matter what their background is. It has its faults, but I truly believe that the NHS is the best healthcare system, and we should be very proud of it. We are all patients to someone. To those who are struggling with their lives currently, find someone to help you through it. Respect everyone and never, ever give up. Patients and the NHS need you. Isn't that just beautiful? The NHS is the world's 5th largest employer. 5th. And whilst out there somewhere, there are about 100 billion stars in our galaxy. Guess where 1.5 million of those stars are? They're right here, in our NHS. I was recently leaving London, having done some more of my Faces of the NHS campaign, and as I was travelling along the Underground, a little boy called Tim came and sat down next to me with his mother. Amid the London silence, this little boy then went on to publicly announce to his mother and the rest of the train carriage that he wanted to be a doctor when he grew up. But his mother's response? She just laughed. And she said, "But Tim, how are you going to hear all the poorly people?" And I watched Tim sink down into his seat with disappointment. Tim was deaf. Now, I don't normally barge into conversations like this. It's apparently not a thing to do on London tubes. But I couldn't help but personally empathise with Tim. So I leant in, and I pointed to his and my hearing aids, and I said, "You can be anything you want to be. This is your superpower." I wanted to tell Tim to look up to the sky and to reach for the stars, and to tell them, and pick any one of them. Because actually, like my dad had taught me with the night sky, it's okay to be unique. So many of our colleagues are being put down every single day whilst giving so much love and life to our NHS. And so many of them are falling as we speak. A little song we used to sing in school assemblies then. Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket and never let it fade away. We need to hold on to these stars tight. We need to cherish our NHS and its people, not let them fall. Metaphorically speaking, I wanted to put Tim, another future star of our NHS, into my pocket and show him that he really could be a doctor. To show him that he could be part of the 1.5 million stars, just like I've done. And to show him that we can all shine bright and that we deserve to be seen, both in Faces of the NHS and up there. We are all just stars that have people names. Amir Khan, Gerda Singh, Helen Grote, Simon Fleming, Davina Nylander, Hannah Barham Brown. You are all stars. So now you know my story beyond the cane, beyond the hearing aids, beyond the face. I want to now pass you my telescope, and I want to ask you once more. Take a long, close look at me and tell me, what do you see now? Thank you.